French. And it's really important to do it if I don't get zapped out. Folks, there's brainwashing throughout all the colonial world. French Canada is no different. I've got lunatics now from the French side of Canada. Never mind the majority Anglo that's institutionalized. You get it with the French too. A belief in their indigenous titleship of Canada, and it's a joke. It's a joke. Russia and USA, both in their highest academic institutions, will tell you it's all fluff and baloney. Acadia is not French. Not. Where does the word Arcadia, come from? Acadians. Where does it come from? Is it a French word? Canadian, Acadian, who invented it? Well, folks, it's clear it's Spain. It's all in the titles of all Atlantic Canada regions occupied by the French. This is not Quebec City, Montreal, the main bread and butter of New France, all the way down, all of that, which is now the United States, bordering in its time periods that of the 13 colonies which were under British control. The French did not find all this. Champagne is no hero of 1607, 1608. Quebec, absolutely. Been to the walled city. But that is not the truth of Acadia. It was never Cascadia's truth. And it's certainly not Caledonia's truth. All lies. There's Rupert's Land. That was always under British and through corporation. Titleship from Lords. Prince Rupert. That was his title that was gifted to him. French never occupied any of that. Never held it. Were there skirmishes? Yes, wars. New France is clearing its boundaries. It did not discover Atlantic Canada. It did not name mass amounts of Atlantic Canada. The Spanish did. You know how we know that? Do you know how we know that? French Canadians who are brainwashed and institutionalized just like the Anglo Canadians. You're not indigenous. You got your name Acadia from Arcadia. Wow! Wow! Is it possible? 1492? Boom! You didn't find nothing first. You didn't have any title to that first. A colonial empire, Spain, named all of that. Sure, you translated words from the Spanish Empire into French, and then the British came along and translated it into English. It was named by Spain. Why do you think Oak Island and all these, all the Spanish gold, where did it come from? Oh yeah, the Spanish. More than 150 years before the French. Yeah, 1492 in Atlantic Canada. And they didn't even hold on to any of that. Couldn't. Lost it to the British in the first major conflict, 1713. The problem with these colonial people who give themselves divinity and tell themselves that we want a war, this is ours. You didn't win shit. None of you did. And the reality is, when it comes to Russia and the United States, may have just burnt out a bulb. Well, let's see what I got here. I got my backlight. Oh well, this truck's going away anyway. Folks, that's the reality. Mass amounts of the colonials killed epic amounts of First Nations. Atlantic Canada is no different. No different. The French were horrific. It wasn't the natives falling in love with the French. It was the same stylized system that Spain started with. Britain participated after the fact too. There we go. Folks, it was I'll tell you how it worked. Unlike America and Russia, Russia and America didn't participate in this. Seven kingdoms did. Seven kingdoms did. All around the world from 1492 on. I have the Nature of International Law, an Oxford paper I wrote that was actually very popular until UK came along with the cartoon and called it Nature of International Law according to the old world. And it's a cartoon for institutionalized subjects. Yay! Me like cartoon. Me child. But that's not reality. It's not reality. There's no hero cookie for Spain, Portugal, Denmark, UK, France, and on and on. We can go into the Ottoman Empire. We can go on and on and on to all the evils of Africa, all the evils of North, Central, and South America. Evils. And you know what? Those who claim the most are the most despicable. Spain, number one, 35 million dead Indians through Spain, 1492 onward, all the way through the development of America, even America punting them out. You want to talk devastation of the First Peoples? Look no further than Spain, largest title. And why? Because they were the first. From Atlantic Canada all the way down, all through North America, all the way up to almost British Columbia. Spain first. Then the French get the number 2 title. Yeah, they wiped out over 10 million Indians off of North America. It was kill all the men, like the Spanish did, plus disease, sure, but their military strategy in these periods, this is the 150 to 300 years before Canada was an idea. 150 and 300 years, there was a change. Britain made a change, but they participated too. The British Empire participated in this. It was go to war with the Indians, kill all the men, rape all the women. I am sorry. I have held back on this for a very long time, but it's rich and documented through mass parts of the world. It's a disease of the French brain, a disease of the Spanish brain, the Portuguese brain, and on and on. Like I said, there's 7 colonials. USA and Russia are not colonials. People have to understand the difference. We're talking mass genocide, mass murder, justifiable because there's levels of human being in a pyramid. It's assigned equity of a person if you make the title of human being person. And as you should all know by now, and we can point at Britain, but France was rape, murder, rape, make. That's how they had capitulation. So did the Spanish. What do you think Mexicans are? What do you think Métis are? Do you think the Indians said, oh, we love the French, hate everybody else, but we want to assimilate with the French? Do you think that's what happened, right? That's what the First Nations wanted to do, right? When these strangers come to the New World, that's what they wanted to do. Just like Mexico, right? That's what the First Nations there wanted to do. In the tens of millions, there was literally 60 million of them. That's what I would want to do, right? Wouldn't you all want to do that? A big force, a whole different culture, world comes. That's the first thing I want to do. Marry me off to the first stranger I can find. Or do you think it was war? It was war. And after that war, it was rape all the women. After you killed all the men, you raid these villages, these systems, and you take all the women and you force them until they're pregnant. And then within a generation or two, you've assimilated them. Not hard to figure out. All military. There's a whole slave system to this too that Britain did because they didn't want to depurify their blood. So they brought in slaves to do that on all their Caribbean islands. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to share these horrific truths of reality, but it's come to the point where I can't stomach the brainwashed, massively institutionalized Canadians anymore. This is not the American. It's not even Russians. Russians and Americans never, ever, ever did this. If you don't believe me, go look at Russian-American Company. Go look at the United States, 1776. Look at all American Indian wars and treaties. The numbers are nowhere near there. And American Indians were still in the 10 millions. Then they had to contend with, you ask in real history, and everybody, I want you all to watch something that starts tomorrow. It's the American Revolution, a 9-part series. Brilliant. All the works I've been doing, this is going to start on PBS tomorrow, November 16th, a 9-part series, freshly released for the public, for the American, in real history and civics. I have friends who've shared, academics who worked on this. I'm just letting you know, I got the email. This starts publicly, right? And it starts on PBS tomorrow night. I want all friends and followers to watch it because you're going to learn in-depth truths about the American Revolution, what they were contending with, everything about Atlantic Canada, French Canada, what is Caledonia, Acadia at these time periods, what happened to these folks, what was done. And it's not America. America's always been relatively the good guy. They made ordinances. They dealt with powerful, evil colonials from all of these empires. And USA was surrounded. They were surrounded by Satanists, the purest evil. And it's really sad today, Canadians in this Laurentian system, mixed Anglo-French system, both have such bullshit, lying histories, fabricated textbooks that are not documented in Russia or the United States. So when I want to know the truth and who I'm going to believe, who do I trust? Do I trust UK, France theory and Canadian Laurentia, the French, English, right? Do I trust them? Or do I look at two nations who are always at each other? And that's Russia and USA. When they have the same education, same historical truths about certain things, and you go, but they don't like each other, they don't get along, they wouldn't come together to create a lie that only those two share in their separate academias where they're always gunning for each other. Stay out, and they're spying on each other, making sure they're not in their own, each other's institutions and governance. So if they have the same histories, but yet Canada's is different, who's the liar? Well, it's all English and French Canadians, because they've been educated in Canada, and these have been Oxford publications, French publications of a manufactured history that isn't real. Natives never loved the British and French. They capitulated because it was absolute genocide through colonialism. Never, ever take Russia or the United States and equate them with colonialism. They were transplanted, they were victims of colonialism. That's the truth. Russia only expanded its own region and borders in its own tribal system. Nothing else. And they've been greatly reduced since the height of Russia entirely throughout 1,000 years. Today, they're tremendously reduced, even though they're large. They're tremendously reduced to what they've historically been. And USA expanded, had Indian wars, and the numbers of casualties. So this is for all Americans and Canadians. Estimates go within 70,000 upwards of 200,000. There's many more millions of American Indians today alive in what is the United States than there is in Canada, its counterpart. It was much worse to be a First Nation, same people, same North American Indians. It was much better than being in Spanish, Mexico area and the rest of North America, or being in New France or UK's holding in Canada. Those people were wiped out in the millions, mega millions. Nothing to do with the United States of America. Very little to do with the 13 colonies, the ordinances they created, the Indian adoption of systems and beliefs that is America today. There's so much of it that comes from the American Indians in those areas. Because Canada and its borders now under France and Britain in those empires was to crush, squeeze, and destroy all of that, as was Spain, Portugal, and others, other colonials. 5 colonials in what is known as North America, Turtle Island. Africa went through 7, right? People don't know these things. I'm very studied in it. Canadians are lunatic in majority, out to lunch. You've been propagated, institutionalized by a mass amount of Oxford and even French academia. They lie to you. It's the crown. Of course it's a lie. But the rest of the world tells you in majority. They killed a tremendous amount in absolute genocide. There were no human rights until post-World War II. Real human rights for any of the first peoples. You can thank the United States of America first for that, and of course the Soviet Union second, whether you like that or not. And China got on board by the 70s after gaining their position, even though they had won that in World War II. But it was just a matter of governmental changes. But never ever forget the truth. The truth is, colonialism and all the Age of Empire systems were nothing but evil, Satanists, everything against the Bible from all religions, even though many capitulated, like Catholics. They certainly did. They certainly did for all colonial governments. Church under state, Jesus under state. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. That is not America, and that's never been the Russian Federation in any of its history. None. Sorry. Learn Orthodox Greek. That's a pile of Russia right there, going all the way back to Jesus Christ. I get into it with so many Canadians from the French and English side now. Those, no, we're going to tell you. You're not going to tell me shit, because you're institutionalized. You're poisoned. You're sick. You're in a sick system, a devious, evil, lying system that still perpetuates all of these things today. The highest source of human evil in the last 1,000 years, for sure. For sure. These monarchials are the largest source of evil. The French-British 7-Year War, not the first, but it's the first true world war. I don't think Canadians realize that. Let alone your history, those who brag about, I'm a 16th generation. You come right from Satan, a system of satanic belief, of dehumanization, devaluation of the human condition. Nothing of the Bible. You say you're any kind of New Testament. Not if you believe all these things and you subscribe to your historical bullshit. You're right there with the devil. You're not following those scriptures. You're not God or with God or under God. You're the other side of it. You're with Satan. And that's really the truth of it. And, people don't want to wake up to it, but it's very, very important. And you can AI search a lot of these things yourself. AI is getting very close. There's still a lot of mistakes, but it's tremendously better. It's almost at the level of academia I shouldn't say it's almost there. It's not. But it's getting very, very close to getting there. There are tons of errors all the time, I see. But that's okay. It's coming along very, very well. It's got a long way to go, but it's going to get there. It's tremendously better than it was 4 years ago. I wouldn't even look at it. This last year, it's been wow, and, I would think within a year or two, it's going to be right there on the level. And all these things I've been showcasing and doing in my travels around every major university in the world with the top credited academics worldwide is going to be mainstream in AI. And then what does a country like Canada do when it's proven to be a flub, a lie? And not only that, but you've been gearing your education system at the regional level to hide from the allies. Your premiers, your lieutenant governors, under the shadows, have been doing this for a long time. Your federalism was the mastery of indoctrination to hide under the Allies' radar from World War II. Not my fault, look! Every province goes its own way. Not my fault, it's not my fault. They all tell the same lie. That's some kind of nationalism there, isn't it? How is it that all the provinces have the same stylized lies? Why is it universal, even though all the regions are different? Right? Because somebody's protecting their crown and they're united. They're all one evil. It's like Legion. Do you know what Legion is? It's a demon that talks with one mouth, and you think it's one entity, but there's 666 of them, right? 666 of them. That's a lot like Canada. 6,666 of them. Whatever you want to look at, that truth is an absolute truth of really what Canada is, what it's always going to be, not what America is. America's evolved. Even Russia doesn't do that throughout its whole history. Sure, it's got wicked genocide too. Throughout communism, we can look at Stalin, we can look at others. But folks, they acknowledge, they move on, they correct. USA does that too. Canada, nothing wrong with me. Same old, run under the radar. We're cowards. Just keep filling the pockets. Lie to these institutionalized idiots. They're lower level human beings. At least they're human beings, right? Signed equity of the person. That has always been Canada. Its colonial roots to New France, British North America, that's never changed. Even though UK and France have somewhat changed, they've changed not as well as Russia or USA or even China for that matter, but, and when I say that I mean on the scale of the quality of the person. They're assigned equity of the person still today. Is it as bad as Canada, a creation of theirs during their empire reign? No, but Canada's never moved on. It lives in a design that believes it to be of the empire system, even though that's largely dead. Canada can't change. Its constitution is enshrined in that. It's got a 300-year history before that. The invention of it is what is Canada today, and they do not want to change. They will have to be put down. They will have to be put down by force. It's not bad. How do we change it, people say to me? Well, the people need to educate themselves. Videos like this need to be shared. People need to know the truth. Again, for all French Canadians, Acadia, Arcadia, bud. It comes from Spain. If I want to learn the history of it, those French names you gave to those Atlantic areas had Spanish names before that. You just turned it into French, just like the English now have turned it into English. When you look at both St. John's, I'm sorry, folks, Spain was the first colonial. Not you, not you. That's English or French. Neither of you. If you ever want to look at that, start going back in history and looking at the maps. It's relatively updated and nearly accurate, even on Wikipedia now. It's a beautiful thing. You can look at the pictures, the time periods. You can see long before the 7 Year War, New France ceded lots of territory. And a lot of territory of Atlantic Canada they never ever really truly had. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. If you ever want to look at the truth of it, all you have to do is look at the 13 colonies. They're literally 24 years after Champagne in Quebec City. You telling me that none of that happened? What about Spanish Florida? Huh? What about all those southern states with Spanish names? New Mexico? All of it. Look at the names of the towns. Look at Acadians and the expulsion. Where did they go? French Louisiana, and then the Cajun Spanish inception. Yeah, those colonials were always there. Spain was the first. Spain and Portugal. People don't want to believe it. I don't want to see it. No, you're lying. St. John. Whose saint is that? Oh, that's Spanish. But the French renamed it St. Jean. St. John. Spanish first. God bless everybody. That's my video. Share, share, share. Know the truth. Learn the truth. Deprogram yourself. Don't accept Canada's textbook lies from every province and every system that's united under one lie. Always one lie. You learn it no matter what province you're in. Even though education's provincial, right? And then that way the Prime Minister goes, oh, we don't run education. But we have all the same lies in every province. Because all crowns are all united under customary crown law. Governor General, Lieutenant Governors, all Attorney Generals, all Chief Justices, Superior and Supreme Courts. It's all fused. You're not separate regions with separate identities. You're all strategically divided on purpose by the Crown since day one to keep you at each other so they could steal, rob, rape, beat, plummet you, devastate you, and you just blame the guy who lives beside you in the rulers with rulers borders. You should see land laws. It's always been from New France to British North America, all of it. It's all sick and perverted. Oh, we're going to end all this tyranny. Now we're going to impose the same tyranny. We're colonials. We're the superior human beings. That's what they've always done. And the Canadian politicians today are no different in any narrative than ever was their predecessors. Same system, same laws, except for now it's under their control. Their satanic evil. They're not your friends. There's not one premier who's your friend. Certainly not Prime Minister. All of them are garbage. All the way down to Chiefs of Reserves. They've already been manufactured with Crown. That's how it works. You're a superior human being. Better than all those losers under you. Most of which aren't even human beings. They're human, but they're to serve you. It's okay, you're justified. They don't know no better. They're dullards. You take from them. It's your right. Your divine right. Your superiority. And that's how it'll always be. God bless everybody. Share, share, share. Educate French Canadians too. I wish I did speak French. I would educate this very well. But I know there's a lot of French following me. It's your job to teach them. I can only do so much. I'm just a man, a human being. God bless. Bye now, everybody.